Hi, everybody. Wow, I can't believe that through the course of this last week, we have gathered every night and it just went by so fast. I feel like I love having this evening prayer time with you all, and I've really enjoyed that you were here and that we were doing all of this together. Um, just go ahead, and if you're on your own side, if you're not muted, just go ahead and mute yourself so I don't get an echo while I do our presentation tonight. Our last night of Madonna Holy Week. I'm getting my candle ready. And if you've enjoyed this time together, consider coming to our monthly ceremony. It's the fourth Wednesday of each month. The same Zoom link that you've already been using. I always use the same one. And we always have a candle. If you want, you can have some incense there if that will support your practice. And I work with the Mother Mary Oracle by Alana Fairchild for our divinations. And so if you ever want to know more about the divinations that I'm reading aloud, that's a great resource, and made by two fabulous women, Alana Fairchild and Sophia Shiloh McLeod. So let's go ahead and we'll look here for the rest of the year. We've already covered quite a few of our various different Black Madonnas this year, and you can watch those on replay. If you're a member of the Goddess Temple, I will happily send you the links if you'd like to see them. But we'll be back here again next month with Mary Magdalene. And now let's take a moment of silence. And if you'd like to light some incense and just open our hearts and be ready for this working tonight. And calling in the quarters. At the edge of space, Ave Tenebros Clara. Ave Hodegetria at the east, she who shows the way. Dark Mother, we call to you. Black Madonna of Czestochowa, shine your guiding light and be with us. Ave. At the south, Rosa Mystica. Dark Mother, we call to you. Virgen Santissima de Guadalupe, glow your radiant grace and be with us. Ave. At the west, Stella Maris, star of the sea, dark Mother, we call to you. Sainte Marie de la Mer, pour out your mercy and be with us. Ave. And at the north, Sedis Sapientia, O throne of wisdom, dark Mother, we call to you. Black Madonna of Montserrat, stand as our mountain sanctuary against the storms of a troubled world. Ave. And calling in and holding space for our ancestors, those close to us and those distant from us, those we've known and loved, those we've lost, those we never knew, and those that we might have complex feelings about. We hold space for the lineage of those who came before us and our own role in that lineage to be a source of healing and grace. We have the same blood as our sisters. We have the same heart as our grandmothers. Tonight we honor you. Tonight we welcome you. Welcome. We have the same blood as our brothers. We have the same heart as our grandfathers. Tonight we honor you. Tonight we welcome you. Welcome. And lighting our candles with this prayer. Great Mother, by the power of this candle flame, may I live well to honor your name. By the light of this candle flame, may I be merciful and receive the same. By earth below and stars above, may I walk gently with grace and love. By starry sky and shining sea, I trust in you. Watch over me. So tonight, the final Madonna in the set of 5 that we're working with is Our Lady of Caridad del Cobre, Our Lady of Charity. And we're going to work with her again later this year, but I thought I'd just offer a little bit of a story tonight of her background and why she's the patroness of Cuba. And then in our future iteration, maybe we'll have some specific prayers for her from some of the Cuban members of our temple. So there was a port town of Santiago del Prado. It's today called El Cobre. And there was a storm that arose, and there were 2 young indigenous men, Rodrigo and Juan de Hoyos. And they also had with them their 10-year-old brother, Juan Moreno. And they were in a small boat out in the Bay of Nipe to collect salt. They were gathering salt from the sea. And you can do that if you kind of go out into the ocean. You can actually sometimes find sheets of salt floating on the surface, and you can skim those off. Or if there's a particular rock where the sea crashes, you can go and often collect crystallized salt. And I know some folks who do this practice. And in this case, these young men were out there gathering salt to preserve meat. And they were on their way back to the town when there was a storm that came, and their lives were endangered by the waves and the storm and the storming waters. And Juan Moreno was wearing a medal that had the image of our Blessed Mother on the medal. And they all just began praying to her. And suddenly the storm arose, the waters calmed, and they were saved. And as they returned to land, they saw a white bundle floating on a piece of wood in the middle of the sea. They retrieved it, and the bundle turned out to be a 16-inch baked clay statue of the Blessed Mother holding her infant in her left arm and carrying a gold cross in her right arm. Her feet rested on a thin crescent moon, which was carried by angels. And the child's hand was raised in a blessing, his right hand, and in his left hand, he was holding a globe. And the piece of wood that this statue had been bundled and floating upon said, Yo soy la Virgen de la Caridad. I am the Virgin of Charity. The 3 young men were astonished, and they could tell that this was an unusual situation, because even though they found this bundle in the ocean, the statue and the white cloth and her robes were all dry. And the storm had just minutes before been raging all around them. So they couldn't figure out how she had remained dry. And they felt that the statue was a miracle. And they took the statue, they brought her to the village and brought her into the church in El Cobre. But one day the statue disappeared from the temple, from the church in the village. And the villagers were looking around, they couldn't find it. And they went kind of on a hunt, and they saw a light shining from the neighboring mountain. And so they went and they hiked up to where they saw the light, and there they found the statue. And so the men who were out searching for the statue, when they found it, they consecrated the space and they decided to create a hermitage to serve as the statue's place of veneration. So they named the place the Hermitage or Ermita del Nuestra Señora de la Caridad del Cobre. And the story of her miraculous appearance spread, and people would come, the poor, those who were enslaved in nearby mines, those who were suffering, they would come. And for 70 years, this devotion grew, until in 1688, the Archdiocese of Santiago initiated an inquiry to determine whether the statue was truly working miracles or not. And they went out and they started to notice that people were claiming healing. People were saying that their lives had been changed for the better. People were, having their, they were getting pregnant, they were having their babies, their, conditions were alleviated. And this only continued until 1801. And in 1801, King Carlos IV, who was then the king of Cuba, he was a Spanish king, he issued a declaration that freed all of the indigenous people there from slavery. And these people had primarily been laboring in the copper mines. That's where the name El Cobre comes from. It means copper. Just like Cyprus also means copper. Kupris is copper. So when he issued this declaration, all of the people who had been enslaved went and they had taken pieces and bits of copper and forged and hammered and shaped their own little relics and their own little devotional things, their votos, and they brought those devotional objects and placed them at the shrine of Caridad del Cobre. And that's how she began to get the reputation for being Our Lady of Copper. And this continued on. This went from 1801 until 1916. And in 1916, Pope Benedict XV declared that Nuestra Señora Caridad del Cobre was actually the patroness of Cuba. And it took 20 years from that time. But then in 1936, there was a big consecration of the statue, and people came from all over the world. And then over time, when large numbers of Cubans started leaving Cuba and going to Miami in the wake of the Cuban Revolution, many of them wanted to bring a copy of the statue. And they were not allowed to. It was considered, even a copy of the statue was considered a historical relic. And so people outside of Cuba had no idea what the statue even looked like. But someone in the Italian embassy went to Cuba and smuggled a copy of the statue out and brought it to the Panamanian diplomatic office. And then the Panamanian diplomats brought it to the US and to the Cuban kind of emigre headquarters in Miami. So on September 8th, which is the birthday of the Virgin Mary, according to the kind of apocryphal sources, in 1960, thousands of Cuban people converged at Miami Stadium, and they actually did a big ceremony, a Eucharist ceremony, to enshrine Our Lady of Charity as the patron of the Cuban exiles living in Florida, particularly in Miami. And today, she remains a symbol of hope. She has a beautiful shrine. I've been there. It's near the Bay of Biscayne. It was started in 1973, and it has gorgeous stained glass. There's an incredible sanctuary to her outside overlooking the ocean, where people go and they bring flowers, they bring candles to honor her and to ask for the safety of their loved ones back in Cuba, or the safety of those who are crossing over. And obviously the devotion that has still been mainly held by Cuban people has also extended beyond, and lots of different immigrants honor Our Lady of Charity as a symbol of their journey to come to the US. And there is a shrine to her at the National Shrine of Our Lady of Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C., which is sort of a political shrine in a way. It's like a, once she was installed there, it was a recognition of how many Cubans had come to the United States as part of that, that exile, that immigration. And so here is the prayer to her that is there at that shrine. O Virgin Mary, Our Lady of Charity, filled with joy, I prostrate at your feet. I entrust myself entirely to you. Virgin of miracles, heal the sick, console the afflicted, give hope to the destitute, preserve families from evil, protect the young and the innocent. From your chapel at Cobre, watch over the just, convert the sinners, fortify thy servants, and save all who worship you. O loving Mother Mary, Blessed Virgin of Charity, patroness of Cuba, pray for us now and at the hour of our death. So that brings us to the end of our contemplations of Mary. We had started our week with Our Lady of Oierschat in the Netherlands, moving on to the Lady of Cardigan from Wales, then on to Our Lady of Châtillon-sur-Seine in France, Our Lady of Meymac, also in France, but referred to as the Egyptian, and finally, Our Lady of Caridad del Cobre, Our Lady of Charity and Copper. And so now we'll take a moment to honor the petitions that have been submitted to us for today. We only have a few today. We've gone through quite a few this month or this week, and it's been really wonderful. And today, Kanyan says, may blessings of health, strength, mobility, harmony, and love be given in accordance with the highest good of individuals, and also given with harm to none. Please watch over John, Valerie, Marissa, Devin, Lauren, Eilish, Thomas, Mary, Catherine, Beverly, Helena, Arvette, and beings visible and invisible from all kingdoms and dimensions. Ashe. And if I'm not mistaken, that is our only petition submitted. So we'll pause here and hear personal petitions now. And so, having spoken aloud these petitions and lifted them, let's elevate them with this prayer by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. We lift you up so your soul can be seen by Mother Mercy. She who checks doorways, sees through cracks, and into corners where souls often hide seeking refuge. She who is the Immaculate Heart, sees you easily, greets you warmly, remembers you with love. For she is the mirror of heaven, the tower of ivory, obsidian blade, star of the waters, seat of wisdom. We lift you up so Blessed Mother can see all that you need now in order to bring goodness and contentment, healing and health, understanding and love to you and your beloveds in every possible way. And especially, may all these be given to you in ways you can most easily see and understand, and in ways you can put to immediate good use. We lift you up because you were knitted up in your earthly mother's womb by one greater, not only born already blessed, but also born as a blessing on all of us. Do not forget this, for we have not forgotten you, and neither and never has your greater mother. Let you walk now forward into this day, both deeply blessed and blessing others, with the magnitude of our Holy Mother's love. Amen. And our final divination with this deck for a month anyway. We'll be back to this deck next month. Oh my God, I drew Our Lady of Charity. It is the card of the day. I can think of nothing more confirming to our sacred work. I call upon my strongest children to aid those in need. I will empower your purpose and act through you. My powers are vast enough to keep you safe and protected, no matter where you may be. Fear not and maintain your focus on me. I shall guide you. Being a healer is not always a professional choice. Sometimes we are simply healers in how we are in the world. And sometimes those with a particular ability to love the Divine Mother are asked by her to be present in particular environments that are in need of healing. They may be toxic office environments or judgmental families trapped in fear and shame, or the relationship may be the environment may be a relationship with a person that is in need of loving affection. A healer, even if one doesn't know one is a healer in that situation at first, will benefit from allowing the Divine Mother to work through her in these circumstances. I'm just going to look for one little sort of last thing. We can pray to Our Lady of Charity for her assistance, as her power is greater than any illusion or deception. Perhaps we've been craving the spiritual truth in a situation that doesn't sit well with us, or that feels hidden. Perhaps we want to see the reality of a situation instead of viewing it through the eyes of ego. The Divine Mother, who remains dry in the ocean of illusion, can help us see beyond the surface of a situation and understand its deeper purpose, and to empower others to do the same. In this, Our Lady of Charity leads us towards enlightenment so that we can help the human race live more lovingly upon the earth with reverence and respect. So we will carry this card forward. I'm actually going to leave this card face up so that next month when I open the box, I'm reminded that we had Our Lady of Charity's card show up on Our Lady of Charity's Day. It doesn't happen like that every time. It's pretty magical. And we'll close with our final prayer, putting out our candles for this week, one last time, closing Madonna Holy Week for another year. Great ocean of night, how I adore you. Queen of time and space, I bow down. Mother and defender, I call to you, watch over me. To she of vastness, I bow down again. Mother of all, how I love you, watch over me. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all the silent, secret blessings you bestow. We are all rich in ways we don't even know. And this brings us to the conclusion of Madonna Holy Week for another year. We will be back again to this particular practice in a year. Of course, we're here every month doing our prayers together and our petitions. For some reason, oh, come on. There we go. There we are. So I'm going to close this recording and we will be back again next month.